Hi all. Today we're going to do our Flesh 1 highlights. I have pre-mixed it. I used Naphthol Red Light and some yellow oxide and a healthy amount of clear glaze medium. I always encourage when you're in class to take a little sample home with you so you can try to match it when you're mixing. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is features. And I'm going to work basically between two brushes. Again, I try to use the biggest brush I can for a given area. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to color in the features. So I'm going to color in the nose and the ears and the mouth and in these smaller areas, the eyelid, and then I'll move on to the bigger brush. Okay, I'm going to have to sit that up a little bit so the glare of the light doesn't affect my vision. Okay, so when you do eyelids, you can press the brush down and make it the line a little wider. When you want thinner lines, you can use the point of the brush. So I'm going to press it down and press it down. Get that one again. Hopefully light. I'm going to color in the ears here. And I plan to do 2 coats of this highlight so you can get an idea of how to approach it. And then again, I'll take a picture of how it should look at the end. You need multiple coats, probably 6 to 8 coats, at least in some areas. Now here, this is even a little too big for where I want to get, where I don't want to go over all my lines and have it all run together. So I'm going to take this number 2, do a little fine work in there. And when you get smaller panels yet, or smaller faces in bigger panels, you can imagine how small we have to go on the brushes. Okay, these are already dry. So I'll go back. That 2 works there too, if I press it down good. We have a teardrop nose. I always like to look at my color copy. I'm so used to looking at finished ones. You can look at the other one that has all the different steps and just concentrate on the one that has this particular step. Okay, now I'm going to go to a bigger brush for the forehead, the cheeks, and the neck. So I'm going to try my 6. So I have a mantra that I say in my head when I'm painting. Lay in the paint, clean off the brush if you have too much, and spread it out. Lay in the paint, clean off the brush, and spread it out. We want to lay it in the brightest areas all the time and move to shadow side and run out of paint and shadow side. So if you noticed how I cleaned off my brush, and now I'm just going to feather these edges so that they're softer and I don't get a hard line, and that I want it to fade in the shadow area. So the other trick in having softer edges in all these shadow areas is to vary where you stop from coat to coat. Now you can see Jesus has bottom eyelids, but we don't define those until the next color. I'm going to bring the color right up to that bottom eyelid line. I'm going to clean off some of that paint. I'm going to make my brush strokes come in a little bit from the shadow side. I don't want a hard line over there. Bring that up there the whole way. Down around the nose. I don't want to make the gap too big. Clean off that excess paint and just feather out that edge. Paint goes a long way. Now, when I had the smaller brush earlier, I didn't do this little spot right there and the spot right here. You can see I don't put a ton of paint on my brush. A little bit goes a long way. Have that chin. Let that run together a little bit. I find that people make the chins too pronounced usually. They make that a deep set line. And you'll remember that when I point it out to you. So the more you let the darks on Kier show through, the more the deep set lines will be. And if you notice in the color copy, I didn't leave any Azan Kier over here. So this is all this highlight. We do the orange everywhere, and after we start putting the ochres on the panel, this is just the pure orange that I'm applying now, peeking through, and the orange peeking through. So let me put some on the neck. And I don't want this line to be really deep set. So I'm actually going to put the paint on top of that line. This is one of the few times I do that. And I'll leave a little gap at some point to let some of the orange, this orange, peek through the next time with the next color. So the orange is going to go on most of the neck here. Just a teeny little gap. Now these are hairs coming out of the, the beard hairs. And we don't want a hard line to make it, when you're doing hairs, you gotta, this is the skin underneath. And we'll do a little bit of color on top of that beard eventually. So the neck is on this particular icon going to get this color. It will, I often say weight the paint. And what I mean by weighting the paint is W-E-I-G-H-T. I want it heavier in the brightest areas, and I want it thinner in the softer areas, that it'll actually look like some of the previous colors peeking through. All right. Now I'll do one more coat, and then again, when I'm done, after I turn off the camera and I finish this, then I'll take a picture of it. Okay, let me work between these two other brushes. Now at some point, and it might be after this, you might not need any more color on the nose, the lids. If it gets pretty heavy, and it's a lot heavier than everywhere else, then you'll just stop applying the paint there and let the other areas catch up. Okay. Move to these bigger areas. Lay in the paint. Clean off my brush and spread this out. And even as I move along and I do this a couple more times, I might just lay in a little paint down here near the eyebrows next time. You know, I don't want it to get it so heavy up in these shadow areas. Again, weighting the paint. You can see there's a little bit of pull up right there, so I'll have to take care when I apply again. It's really easy in these flesh highlighting steps to lift paint. So we'll just take care. The only thing to do when that happens is to let it get good and dry. Now I'm going to clean off that and just feather the edges a bit. Okay, let's get some more color on the neck. I'm not going to go up quite as high. Again, weighting the paint. I put a little color on before. Don't quite need as much this time. Up quite near the beard. And some of these little things that I'm doing, I'm just doing because I know to do it from experience. And you'll depend on your teacher to critique and let you know where you need more and where you don't until you get the hang of it. Okay, guys, I think this is going to be about it for these 2 layers. I'll let it get good and dry, and then I'll definitely put some on the cheeks down here and on the forehead and on the neck once or twice yet. I think some of these, they might even take 4 times. A few, you know, these brighter areas. Where you see the brightest yellow is where you're going to have the heaviest orange underneath. Okay, so that's it for now. Thank you.